I was really worried that I'd never get a chance to catch one of these carp. I was obsessed by them. I was so obsessed that they were occupying all my thoughts. I would probably reflect and say it's really unhealthy. It's unhealthy to make a carp or a small family of carp create such an obsession that you put it in front of everything else in life.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's probably the biggest carp out of this one that we caught.
Yeah, should we get the rod back in?
But this obsession was partly fueled by fear. I was really worried that the otter predation was rife and they might rob me of my chance of having a special moment with one of these carp. The evidence was clear. I was seeing otters on a regular basis, and I was even seeing carp that had run-ins with the otters that very winter. And I didn't want to leave it down to luck. These fish were really special, and if I was to catch them this year, it had to be now or never. Now, the carp in question that I would dearly love to have a run-in with were only 2 or 3 carp out of a small family already of maybe up to 20 carp in this lake, but the ones I dearly focused on were only 2 or 3 left of the original crop of fish that found their way into the crazy park. Now, I've always referred to these fish as the last of the Mohicans. They were everything I wanted a carp to be. They were 3 big male carp. Now, I didn't know who had the hierarchy, but I had a gut feeling, and if I was to ever meet that one, wow, that would be an absolute dream come true. But I knew the task in hand was big. You know, these carp rarely came out, and all the challenges that the crazy park presents is enough to put anybody off.
Well, what a great start. I've literally had the rod in an hour or so.
And as you'll see through my diaries, the challenges that I got to film throughout this campaign, wow, you know, they weren't for the faint-hearted. I could have easily packed up and thrown it away because some of the things really tested my patience. But I wasn't about to let the bit drop between my teeth. You know, these fish for me represented everything I wanted a carp to be. Now, I had tunnel vision to catch some of these carp. That meant that it fueled me to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to put that bait in, or to go and walk the pit at 12 o'clock at night and sit at the top end and just listen for the carp. These carp had got really under my skin, and if you speak to my friends or any of my family, they'd probably say in a very, very unhealthy way. But I'm always aware that, you know, these campaigns don't come along very often, especially for me. I can't continue to operate in this manner and focus on a certain fish like this because other things in my life definitely suffer. Ooh. But I knew this year it was now or never. You know, COVID had restricted travelling, so I had some spare holiday at work that I didn't have to dedicate to other things. I wasn't going anywhere on any holidays, out of the country because of the COVID restrictions. So even my holiday days I could dedicate to catching a couple of these carp. So I had everything in my armoury I thought I needed to catch a few.
It's brilliant.
But what I hadn't planned for were the challenges that were going to get thrown at me almost every trip throughout the summer, of a constant reminder of why this crazy park is often left alone, because it's not for the faint-hearted. And only that very next trip I grabbed some bait to put in before work, I was faced with something I'd become very familiar with at the park.
Yes, got it.
But it never failed to really, really upset me, and I nearly on numerous occasions walked away. But have a look at this, and I'm sure you agree, it was absolutely devastating to see.
That's a new one this morning. Not too sure that's going to fit in my rubbish bag. Just look at this. This is the second pile of rubbish that I've witnessed in as many days at the public park, where a family have had a party, got up and left, and just felt it's fine to leave all this just festooned in the hedge. And I know it's a family because there's things like children's bricks over here. There's a child's bib. Over here you've got a small child's trainer. Oh, and some toys over here. So I cannot believe that at grassroots level we cannot even look after the planet by picking up the rubbish. It's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. And this isn't an isolated incident. This is a public space where people can come and enjoy the sun, the weather, and get some time outside. Now, if I walk round this lake, there are piles like this everywhere. And I'm ashamed to think that we share the planet with humans that conduct themselves in this way. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. Like I did on Monday, I've got some litter picking apparatus in the car, and I'm going to spend a couple of hours picking all this up. But I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to look after the planet when every human has an obligation to do the same. It's just, yeah, very, very sad day.
Well, I thought I'd quickly check in. It's 7 o'clock, it's Sunday morning. My son's still in bed, so you might get interrupted with him coming down asking for breakfast, but it's the only slot I got really to sort of have a quick check-in in terms of what I've been up to since I've been picking the rubbish up at the crazy park. Now, all my friends warned me. They said, Mike, avoid the park in the summer. It will drive you crazy. It will continually make you so frustrated that you feel like you want to throw the towel in. Now, they're right. They're absolutely right. It's a crazy place to fish. And in fact, I haven't done any fishing. The last couple of weeks, I've done no fishing at all because I can't actually fish. Every time I turn up after work with my 1 or 2 nights after work a week, it's been biblical, the weather's been boiling hot, and there's only 7 or 8 areas that you can actually fish on this lake. And every single area has a family with a picnic blanket and a barbecue set up in it. And I've come back on numerous occasions throughout that night that I can fish up until 11, 12 o'clock at night even. And they're still there. They're still there. They've got the music going, the barbecue going. I mean, I don't blame them. It's beautiful weather as long as they pick their rubbish up. But it means that I can't get into the areas I want to get in, which is hugely frustrating. And I guess I wanted to give you a bit of an insight into the challenges I'm facing, because it would be easy for me to lift up a carp and say, oh, I've caught one, without showing you any of the backstory. But this campaign especially has a real challenging backstory that I never really appreciated would give me as much headache as it has. But it's been time well spent, because the last couple of weeks, although I haven't been able to wet a line, I've still been able to get a bit of bait in the area that I really, really want to focus on now throughout the summer. And what's most important is that I've actually been able to observe the fish over the last couple of weeks, because I've been going in every morning that I'm up that way before work, and most evenings after work when I'm on my way back. And my observations have led me to a bit of a eureka moment. I've seen these fish in their natural environment behaving and picking up baits. And it's given me an opportunity that I probably wouldn't have had if I was racing to get into the area just to fish. So 2 weeks of really dedicated observations have led me to a slight change of tactics. Now, these big male carp have got massive fins. They've got huge, huge fins. And what I'm noticing is when they're coming down onto the spot, their big fins are sort of coming down and sort of anchoring them to the area where they're going to pick up a bait. But there's lots of movement in the water displacement. So any little delicate rig, anything that's slightly balanced out, is going to be wafting all over the place. So I'm going to change something. I'm going to try and anchor my baits, almost pin them to the bottom, so when these big fish come down to feed, they're not being wafted off the spot before they get to the sort of lip area. So I'm going to add a little bit of weight to my baits, go a bit more agricultural, and fish slightly bigger baits, etc. And really, I suppose, big fish tactics, but I'm going to do it different. I'm definitely going to weight the baits down and almost anchor them to the spot. I don't know if it'll work or not, but the proof will be in the pudding, because next week the weather's going to break, and I know that weather's slightly going to turn a little bit more overcast, and that should stop the public descending on the park. And hopefully after work I'll be able to squeeze into the area I've been trickling the bait into and have my first proper night, because I did try a couple of weeks ago to get the rods out. Disaster, absolutely disaster. I set up in the area where I wanted to be, and within 20 minutes a family turned up next to me and set about swimming right through my lines, wiping me out. So I ended up packing up and going over to another lake at about 10 o'clock that night. And luckily for me, I managed to catch one. I managed to catch one in the morning, which is one I hadn't caught before, which was a beautiful dark mahogany common, almost like a consolation prize, I guess. Black, real dark common. And after what I've been through last night, this one definitely makes up for the effort. The pain, the busy park, and everything in between. But I can't wait to get back. You know, as you see, that fish was beautiful, but my mind is firmly fixed and focused on the crazy park. So it's Monday tomorrow. I've got a couple of days away, work purposes. I've got to go down to Hatchmore Fishery. I'm taking a few friends with me because we're filming a little bit of a promo video on the new pellets that we've got out, the new edge pellets. So that's a couple of days where I'm away from the Cotswolds, where I'm not going to be able to pop in or put some bait in. So tonight I'm going to have to give it a little bit more than I would usually give it, and hopefully there's no public there, so I don't really want to be baiting up in between all the paddle boarders, and the fingers crossed I better get that bait in, because I'm away for a couple of days, and that's really crucial. The consistency of the bait on the spot, if you're pre-baiting regularly, is everything. Now I've always sort of tried to get it in little and often, and that's what I've been doing, little bits of bait but very often. And it's seen no lines, which is another really important point. If you're going to put some bait in, make sure it sees no lines for a good couple of weeks. That's always been my motto. But yeah, I've managed to observe them. I've seen all the fish that I dearly love to catch. Hatchmore is pending, so for now I'll sign off. I've got to wake my son up. No doubt he'll want me to cook him breakfast, and within an hour I'll be out the front playing football. So no rest for the wicked, and yeah, I'll try and film a bit of Hatchmore Fisheries, but until then, I'm over and out. Well, I don't know if this is going to focus in. I think it has. I'm in the car. It's 11 o'clock at night, and I've got some bait on the passenger seat there, which I'm going to drive up to the crazy park to put in this evening. And the weather has broke, which is great, and right on cue really. So I'm fingers crossed I'm going to take the drive up there. A, there'll be no anglers around, and B, there'll be no public still set up in the area that I want to put the bait into. But last week, fantastic trip to Hatchmore. I wasn't really looking forward to it because it was breaking up the cycle of the pre-baiting that I was doing at the park. As I mentioned before, it's really difficult once you're in a rhythm to break out of that rhythm and do something else, especially do some other fishing. I personally find that really challenging, but it was a work-related trip. So I met Dave, Giles and Ben at the local Wetherspoons, and we kicked off the drive down to Hatchmore with a beautiful, can you call it beautiful? I'd say hearty English breakfast.
What's wrong with your tea?
Looks like it's been here since yesterday. Yeah, I'm good. You alright?
Yeah, happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. How do you feel being a year older?
Exactly as I did the day before. Not a day older, just a day older.
Well, as I approached Hatchmore, that lovely bumpy track confirmed that I was just heading into the wonderful Devonshire countryside, and it was a stark reality check from the park lake because all the chaos that's been happening at the park only a few days prior. As I rolled down this bumpy track, I could already tell that I was in for a blissfully quiet couple of days fishing. No ravers, no dog walkers, you know, no rubbish, definitely not, no lilos. So despite me not wanting to break up my campaign fishing, it gave me a little bit of a rest, to be honest, and I knew it was in good company. And no sooner had we opened the van doors and the car doors, Ben was already chucking a few handfuls of the edge pellet around the lake, and believe it or not, the fish were very obliging and they started to feed almost instantly. I think at that point we hadn't wheeled our barrows round, so they didn't know we were there. So it was a good opportunity to probably capitalise on a quick bite, and that's exactly what I did. So I set about getting some rods out, and there was bubbling going on everywhere and coloured water, and it really did look good for a bite. But as I was there to record a promo video, I just dropped some rods right tight in the edge. I sat back, put the camera on the pellet because I needed to kickstart the promo video, and I had a list of things that I needed to record, and no sooner had I pressed record, the rod was screaming off and I was into my first Hatchmore fishery carp. Well, the rod's been out 10 minutes, I've seen some fizzing in the edge, and I've lowered a solid bag of the micro pellet out, and this one's rattled off literally within 5 or 10 minutes, and that's the first one, we hope, of a few. So all the guys have taken some pellet, and hopefully we're going to get them feeding in the edge and catch a few more like this over the next 24 hours. Well, with that one back safely, I was hoping that was going to spur Dave on to get the rods out, but I know Dave, man of leisure, takes it nice and easy at Dave's own pace, and he was more interested in bird spotting, to be honest, one of his favourite pastimes. He loves a good bird spot.
Big old birds, buzzards, didn't they?
Well, no sooner had I put that fish back, it was Ben's turn. He'd been already prepping a couple of areas within minutes of getting there, and he had a couple of areas absolutely rocking. The fish were tearing the bottom up. You could see the fizzing, the bubbling, and it was evident they were really feeding hard. So all the problem was Ben had to get a rig in quietly enough to not arouse suspicion, and he did it really well because he'd had the rod out less than 5 minutes, and it's hooped round, and we were into our second Hatchmore carp. What a lovely linear it was.
In there.
I was going to just take him back in the mat if that's all right, yeah? All right.
Well, with Ben's fish slipped back safely, I think we all sort of hit the ground running a little bit there. We set our bivers up ready for the evening, and we were soon congregating around the barbecue. I guess one of the main reasons we were there really was to do a little bit of socialising in the evening once the work was done.
Strawberries and cream, Dave. Although I can see they're reduced.
That's the only ones they had, mate.
Did they? What,
Yeah.
gone off ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew they were for you.
They got bruised strawberries. Oh,
And
what's in
I
there?
don't fish with these guys often enough. You know, these are my good friends, and we put the world to rights. Giles done a sterling job with some Angus beef burgers and all the trimmings. We had the dipping crisp, we had the olives, you know, all the stuff that you know, we were really pushing the boat out. This wasn't overnight fishing for me, where I'm usually used to living on ration packs. This was a banquet of food, and we sat there and enjoyed each other's company before retiring to bed with a full belly, dreaming of an alarm clock screaming carp. And that's exactly what happened that very next morning.
Well, just as the sun's broken this morning, the margin rod over the mini mix pellet again has produced this lovely long angry male.
That was closely followed by another one.
Look at that one. Look at him. He's a bar of scales. Beautiful. Beautiful carp. Look at that. That's what we're after. A nice social carp in good company, nice barbecue, and an obliging carp or two. Well done, Mike. Rarely goes like that, does it? Hey,
Good work, mate.
Mike's making it look easy.
And it just continued like that for the rest of the trip, really.
Lovely, spawned out male. Give me a right merry old dance.
3 or 4 more carp. It was a fantastic trip. The second evening we ate like kings. You know, we continued to, it was my turn this time, and I cooked up a lovely Massaman chicken curry, and yeah, it went down a storm, and I think I might have caught one more the next day, and that was it. You know, the work was done. We'd got all the footage we needed. We'd filmed all the carp feeding on the pellet, and we caught plenty.
You're quite a fast sprinter, Dave.
Yeah, some in there, isn't
What a pretty fish.
Oh,
Carps.
But it was time to head back, and I wanted to get back to the park and obviously edit that video up. But most importantly, I wanted to do what I'm doing now. I wanted to get back into the routine of putting that bait in at night, exactly where I'm going now. And I will continue to do this up until I can get into that area and wet a line, which I'm hoping is going to be this week. So I'm going to head up to the garage, going to get me coffee, as I say, from Costa. That's my little routine. And yeah, head up to the park. Be at least 2 hours. That's the driving alone. If I can just get that bait in, I know I'm putting everything in my favour to hopefully manage a bite when I wet a line later this week. So I'll keep you updated. But for the time being, I've lost my keys, which is not helpful. Ah, there they are. And I'll see you later on. Well, it's been a while since I've checked in front of camera, and in fact it's been about 4 weeks, so I apologise on that front, but it's just been so busy. As you can tell, I'm under canvas, I'm in the bivvy, so that's a great start. It means that I've been able to get into the area where I was trickling the bait for a good 3 or 4 weeks prior to actually wetting a line. And the reason why I haven't been able to do anything to camera has just been manic. These last 3 weeks have been incredibly busy. Getting here after work, trying to get the rods out and racing before, you know, before it gets dark. I've even caught a couple, which I'll come on to a little bit later. But redoing the rods and getting everything sorted and then getting some food. By the time that's all done, I'm sort of just collapsing on the bed chair in a bit of a sweaty, mosquito-bitten mess. So it's just been too busy. But I've got lots to tell you. There's been so much going on, and things have kicked off in really great fashion. But first and foremost, I think it's really important to give you a bit of an insight into what's happened in terms of this adventure so far. So this area that I've been fishing, it was really ironic that a couple of people set up behind my bivvy on the grass verge. I've later become friends with them, and they are a wonderful couple by the name of Steph and Wilf. And I guess you could say they are a couple that don't conform to the normal society vision of where and how people should live their lives. Steph and Wilf both come from traditional farming backgrounds, but very early on in their life they decided they wanted to live a bit of a nomadic lifestyle and just tour up and down the country in Wilf's hand-built caravans and just be outside, live a nomadic life, and live their life just by enjoying being outdoors. Wilf does a little bit of wood carving, and he's got his own little business called Wilf's Wonky Wood Carvings, which are fantastic to watch. You know, I've been really entertained of what he can carve out of a piece of wood with a chainsaw. It's amazing. And he sells those on the roadside. And then there's Steph, who is just a beautiful person with the most intricate and delicate painter's hand, and she can paint all these little intricate little bits on horseshoes. She does sign writing, she does, you name it. Steph's ability to paint and bring something back to life is fantastic. So yeah, those two guys have been a pleasure to spend some time with, but it's meant that they are parked just behind the bivvy, and with their 3 dogs, it's meant that the public haven't been too keen on setting up their picnic blanket just here where I'm fishing, which is great. It's been great for me. It means that I've been able to drop in after work and actually do some fishing, and also with the added bonus, I get to spend the evening with Wilf and Steph, and they've even cooked me some dinner on the odd occasion, so I haven't even had to have a pot noodle. It's been absolutely wonderful couple of weeks, and I've really enjoyed myself. And not only that, I'm a massive dog lover, and they've got some fantastic dogs. Will's got one called Bodge, and he's just such a character. So yeah, big kudos to those guys. They've kept me entertained, and it's been a pleasure to sort of really just sort of speak to them about life, speak to them about how different people live their life. And sometimes I leave the lake on my work overnight thinking, you know, I really crave that sort of life that they're living. Maybe, you know, maybe one day, I'm not too sure. But it's kept the public away. It's also enabled me to sort of check in when I've been doing my morning walks and ask Will if anyone's been fishing in this area. So he's sort of my eyes and ears that are at the lake all the time, which, you know, as far as edges go, that's about as big as it gets, right? But yeah, it's been great. It's been absolutely great. It's kicked off in style. The first night I did, which was about 3 weeks ago, I managed to get the rods out just after I got here. You know, I'm always trying to get the rods out quickly, because this area, what I've noticed is there are definitely more fish in this area early evening than late evening. So first thing I do, I've been trying to get the rods out really quickly, and the first carp I caught was a lovely little scaly one, but sadly it had evidence of otter damage. But have a look. I couldn't quite believe it. I was just sorting the other rod out and the tip's lifted up, and it sort of slid off the rest, and I've got this one, which is a very small carp again, but beautifully scaled, and I'll show you in a minute. These little pearly scales in its belly. But what's a real sad, I suppose, edge to this capture, as you'll see now, he's only got half a tail, which is exactly my thoughts really, that the otters are still here, still predating on these carp, and clearly this one's had a very close run-in with one this winter. But as you'll see, a beautiful beautiful carp with some lovely pearly scales on it. But sadly, once again, we've got signs of otter predation. I just really hope that he has learnt from his mistake, and one day this will be the future of the lake. But yeah, not too sure. Don't hold out much hope. Bye bye, mate. Can you go and get your mother? Or father, I don't know. Off you go. So that kicked off proceedings. I knew that the fish were visiting the area, and as far as a baiting pyramid goes, if anyone's done any pre-baiting, the first bite, you know, is crucial, because it just spurs you on to keep baiting that area. You know it, you can get a bite off it, you know the carp are visiting it, and you know that's an area that will feed on. So all those boxes were ticked, which is great, and I've caught one. You know, that lovely mirror, although, you know, nothing near the size of the carp that I'd love to catch. But every bite from this park is really hard won. So I was off, you know, I was off and running, and you know, that was another carp added to my Park Lake carp tally, which was great. And that's all I'm looking for. If I can get the bites, I know I'll probably work my way towards something a little bit bigger. So the following week I was back, and yeah, with a bit more bait prior, obviously, and with Will's insight, he told me nobody had been in the area, and I caught a really old carp, one of probably the oldest fish in the lake, and for me, it doesn't get any better. Ignore size doesn't matter, but within an hour of getting the rods out, it's gone again.
Double tap the screen. Oh, that'd be wicked, mate, thank you. Well, one of the true survivors, I think, of this this place, because it's been ottered a couple of times. Actually thought it was gone, but clearly not. He's still alive and kicking. Not the biggest of carp, but what a beautiful creature, look at that. Oh, is he going to let me have 5 minutes with him? Probably not. He's bristling with testosterone. He seems to have got half a peck that's grown back on this side. His bottom lobe of his tail sort of grown back. There he is. Look at him. Beautiful. Warrior of the lake.
Awesome.
Give you a quick glance at the other side. Yes. It's gently spinning round. Looks a little bit like Choco. the fish in Stoneacres all those years ago. Oh, hang on. Steady on. There we are. What a carp. I am really happy with this one. Well, the old guard from the lake. All his little bumps and scratches and some run-ins with the otter. He survived, the survivor. Oh yes, let's get you back.
And as you've seen, what amazing carp. You know, that carp has seen it all. That carp has seen all the predation this pit has ever had and has managed to escape every otter invasion that this pit gets. And it's just, for me, I have to admire a fish like that. You know, he's still here. I think that one's called the Struggler, I believe. And I don't know how old he is, but I know that he's one of the oldest in this lake, which is put a massive smile on my face. And things were just off and running. It was amazing. And I'm here now. You know, this is 3 weeks on. I've had a fish every trip, and I've even had a couple of small ones as well, mixed in as well. So sometimes I'm catching more than one. So got to get the rods out. You know, lights fade in, as I say, it doesn't last long, and I want to get these rods out, and I want to go and have a cup of tea with Wilf and Steph. They'll bring a cup of tea to the swim, no doubt, and we'll chew the fat until the sun goes down, which is bliss. So I'll check in again when something else happens, but for the time being, I'm going to enjoy Wilf and Steph's company, because it just doesn't get any better than that. And with a couple of carp under my belt, I am a happy boy. The Park Lake campaign, especially this spot, is absolutely rocking. So let's get this rod out.
Well, I've been watching these ducks, and sadly last night there were 4. So Mum and 4 chicks were proudly parading round the lake, and I've watched these chicks from the moment they were born, from a little egg really. You know, you just grew up with nature around the lake, and these little buggers have been fantastic company. You know, they just dot around the lake eating flies and this, that and the other. But really, really sad that last night at 1 o'clock in the morning, I watched an otter take one of them off the surface, take it into the trees and crunch it up. And it was the most horrific experience I think I've had on the lake so far. But yeah, I watched the otter creep up behind Mum, take one. Mum literally went into hysterics and yeah, lost a chick. So we are down to 3. The trials and tribulations of the park, I guess.
Well, this is a bit of deja vu for me. I'm on my way up to the crazy park to bait up. I've stopped up to get my Costa coffee, which is a bit of a ritual, at the local 24-hour petrol station, and I'm just on my way up there. It's 11:15 to put some bait in. Now, I've had a really busy weekend, but I reflected this morning and thought, I wonder how many miles I've done so far from when I first started in March up until now, just to keep on in tune with the lake, or put some bait in based on the number of trips I've been doing per week. And I worked it out to be about 4,500 miles for this campaign. Yeah, sort of caught me by surprise a little bit. It was a serious amount of miles and money really, but as I said, these carp have truly got under my skin, and with last week's sighting of those ducks being taken by the otter, I don't know how long I've got, so it's full steam ahead, and that's why I'm once again, I guess you could say, punishing myself, although I find it really enjoyable, this part of the journey, putting the bait in really late at night. So I'm not going to get back now until sort of gone 12:30, 1 o'clock I'd imagine, and it's Monday tomorrow, so another week starts. But it's all about putting the odds and stacking the odds in my favour, and I'm really looking forward to doing another night this week. But yeah, this weekend has been extremely busy, family time, and I spent some time with my son outside, which is hard enough at the best of times, because he loves, like most kids do his age, he loves nothing more than sitting in front of his games console, which I try to limit as best I can, and trying to peel him away to get some outside time and enjoy, you know, nature and walking, etc. is really hard.
Oh, wow. He's got a few petals on him, mate, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Why don't you, that was a mission, mate, wasn't it?
Now, as a parent, I try to limit his hours on these games consoles, but it's difficult. They're just from a different generation. Whereas I sort of love building tree houses, he loves, you know, gaming. I guess it's just a sign of the times. But I dragged him out. which is great. And on the recommendation of Steph and Wilf, the guys that are sort of set up their business just behind where I'm fishing up at the Crazy Park, they recommended I sort of dash over to the Brecon Beacons, which is still a bit of a drive for me, but we had the most enjoyable time and we experienced some incredible waterfalls. And it really sort of helped to give me my fix. There's nothing better than just spending a day outside for your mental health. I think it just invigorates you and it energizes you, ready for Monday. And yeah, we had just the best of times.
You alright?
Yeah.
How are you getting on?
Good.
I'm not too sure that hair is going to help you. Let's see if you can see the right way. Aha! Come on, let's go. We've got at least an hour, 2 hours to go. Come on. Off you go.
Right, let's go for it. Woo! Wow.
But I'm just going to try and get this bait in. It was great to spend some time with Declan.
That one looks like a frog.
Yeah, it does look like a frog, doesn't it?
He's obviously in bed now, and what I've done is I've spent half an hour before I left the house just repainting the tip of my marker float. I don't know if anyone else does this, but I'm still using a marker float even this late at night, just so I can pull it to the edge of where the spot is, and then I can bait up beyond it. Now, obviously you can't see a marker float in the dark, but what I've been doing is I've been painting the top of my marker float with glow-in-the-dark paint, and it just gives me a bit of a visual marker because I'm baiting up with a throwing stick, and I know if I can see the plops in the moonlight of the baits dropping in beyond the float, I know I'm in the area. So yeah, it's a good little tip. It's some sort of hobby paint that I've ordered off eBay. It does flake off, but you know, a couple of recoats throughout this campaign, and it's good to go. So as you can see, it's really good. Flick the light off, and it does the trick. You can just about see it. So anyway, I'll turn off now. I've still got another 45 minutes drive, and the next time I check in, we'll hopefully be back at the Crazy Park this week, because the weather still looks like it's going to be in my favour to keep the public away, and I can't wait to do a night on Tuesday.
Well, as you can hear, the rain is walloping down on the bivvy, and I'm getting some crazy liners, so the fish are definitely on the spot. I've got one in the net, which is great, although it's a small one. I can't just get him out just yet because the rain's walloping down, so he's just resting there for 10 minutes or so. But in the meantime, I've got the rod out and I'm getting some crazy liners. I'm just filming to see if I can get one on camera, because they are literally rising to the top and dropping down again. But no, my luck, it might be a massive shoal of tench. Come on, give me a liner.
Well, this is not exactly how I thought this Park Lake campaign was going to pan out. Between a few friends that have fished it on and off in the past, and all the observations that I've known about over the last 15 or so years, the general consensus is there's about 15 carp in here. At most you might be looking at 20, but I'm definitely erring on the side of 15. I was hoping to latch into one or two of the bigger residents that reside in the park. You know, they're not massive carp by today's standard, but this is my 10th bite, and most of them have been really small, including this one. And the funny thing is, I have no idea where they're coming from, because I'm pretty sure these have never been in here in the past, unless they have and they've been self-spawned and they're now at an age where they can eat a lot of bait and get caught, and they're becoming a bit of a distraction. But a bite's a bite. I guess I just need to keep ploughing on and hopefully tick them off as I go along. But yeah, this is the 10th bite.
and I reckon if it's a double, I'll be lucky. Bit of a conundrum, that.
What an afternoon. You just see me taking a bit of video footage of that little tiny common, that little black one, and I was just waiting for the rain to subside, and I thought I'll get it out and do some pictures. The rain is lashing down, the fish is in the net, and my other rod is literally lifted off the rest and gone wah, and it's gone. And well, I'll show you in a minute. I'll spin the camera around, you can have a look at the state of me. I'm soaked from sort of the chest down. This fish has gone absolutely ballistic. It's quite ironic because I seen a fish head and shoulder on the spot about 10 minutes before. I thought that looks a better one, and but I thought no, I can't get 2 in an hour, and it's literally melted off. And this battle royale has lasted easily 20 minutes, but it started to go horribly wrong because it went round the corner around this bush here, and the line was going underneath the bush and right round the corner, and I thought for all intents and purposes I've lost it, it's gone. So I don't know whether it was quick thinking or a bit crazy. I grabbed the net and I've jumped in the water and sort of paddled my way round the tree. I'm a good swimmer, so that's absolutely fine, and I paddled round and sort of traced the line under the trees with my hand, with a net in this hand and a rod in this hand, and then I've managed to beach myself round the corner and play this fish in. And well, the fight that resulted was another 20-minute battle, going zzz, and yeah, I've got it in the net. I've got it in the net. It's one of the better fish in the lake. It's probably one of the top 4. But this fish, I've seen it many times on my walks round, and you probably seen it in my previous diary piece. It's got the top lobe of its tail missing. Otter, obviously, otter damage, but it kind of adds to the character of this fish, and it's a real gnarly old carp. I'm super chuffed. It's usually around £35, but who cares? It's not about the weight for me. It's about how personal this angling journey means, and I couldn't be happier. So let's wait for Ben to turn up. We'll get a couple of pics. Yes. Well, there we go. As I just said, this one's had a lucky escape, and if you speak to a couple of the regulars that fish here, this one's been ottered twice, so yeah, should be called lucky really, but within a few years that should hopefully grow back. I've seen evidence of this before. I've seen carp with the whole tail gone, and within a year or two it's amazing because it actually grows back. But of course you don't want to see this, and we just have to live with it on the park now, especially with unfenced venues. This is just a sign of the times, but it's time to get him back. One last look. He's in the water at this absolutely cracking carp. Thank you very much. Oh. And hopefully he'll live to fight another day and stay away from the otters. He may have learned by his mistakes. It's time to go.
It's a celebratory cup of tea with the lads. Massive thank you for them coming down and doing some pictures, but they're gonna miss out because I got no tea bags.
You got any tea bags, Benjo?
Nope. Sorry. Coffee.
You're bound to have some tea bags.
Not decaf.
All about a decaf at our age. Clearly, we're both suffering from weak bladders and insomnia.
Month ago, where's his spoon? He's got nothing, has he?
I ain't got a spoon.
I've got nothing, have you?
Yeah.
Where'd you got my spoon? Your spoon's up here.
How do you
That's
know
Dave's spoon.
Yeah, why is it Dave's spoon? Let's have a look. Oh yeah, that's definitely Dave's spoon. Yeah.
Well, after last week's result, I felt terrible because I couldn't even offer the guys a cup of tea. I guess that's the life of an overnight angler like myself. I usually just fish 12 hours, and my condiment stash consists usually of about 3 tea bags, a couple of spoonsful of sugar, and something quick to eat. So I'm never carrying too much kit, and sadly, the guys who done me proud with the pictures, I couldn't even give them a cup of tea, so we had to have a coffee. So a bit of a stock up because I'm off fishing tomorrow. I've got half a day. I'm in work for half a day, and then I am going to get to the crazy part because all the action is coming in the afternoon, so I'll be stupid not to try and cash in and maybe get a day's holiday. So fill up the condiment pot, and if I can offer the guys another cup of tea. If they can come and do me some pictures, then I've had another result, which is maybe a bit forward thinking, but I'm really confident the spot is rocking. The weekend went past in a bit of a blur, but it was great again. I managed to take Declan fishing. I managed to take him to a little farm pond.
We got one. That didn't take long, did it?
No.
Cast by yourself.
Get him away from the games consoles again, which is always what I want to do on a weekend.
Well, that was a hell of a run, wasn't it? Huh? What was the result? The rod absolutely tore off, didn't it?
Yeah, because it
Lift
was
him up a bit
running
higher.
and then it stopped.
Lift him up a bit higher.
So it was running and then it stopped and then we actually had one.
Yeah. Mate, look at him.
And yeah, he even caught a couple of small carp, so feeling really, really chuffed about that. But for now, the week's just about to start again, and I'm just about to head back to the park and have another busy week at work. I put the sweatbands on the spools, which is something I always do, so they've been soaked in water to keep the braid nice and limp and heavy, and I've even tied the baits on, so I'm ready to rock. All I need to do is get work done, get to the park, get some rods out on the spots, and hopefully the next time I check in, I might have a fish to show you. Maybe that's a bit too confident because there's hardly no fish in here, but you never know. At least I'll be able to have a cup of tea. Right, over and out.
Wow, what a great start. I've literally had the rod in an hour or so. Oh, you can hear my heavy breathing. And I'm heavy breathing because this fight literally pulled me all round the lake. On the surface, done me in the snags to the left of the swim. It was real touch and go, but I've won it. I've won the battle. And look at the saddle on that. Oh, things are just going really well at the moment. I literally cannot put a foot wrong. The effort feels like it's paying off, but I'm going to just sort this one out and I'm going to call a couple of friends and hopefully they're going to do me proud with the pictures. But oh wow,
Well, I've calmed down a little bit now, only a little bit, and thankfully when you can call upon a few good friends to come and help you with the pictures, a couple of calls and they're all en route, so they're 5 minutes away. And Giles has kindly popped in to calm my nerves with a cup of tea, 2 sugars, and yeah, take it in because I haven't quite taken it in yet. I'm still gobsmacked. So I've weighed it, it's 41 pounds, so it's a huge carp, and well, yeah, might come back down to earth in a little while, but for the moment I need this cup of tea.
Look at that. Look at the size of its head, man.
mega, innit?
So there was no need for that, was there? There was actually no need for that.
For the top, it was what?
Briefs? You don't wear briefs?
Yeah.
Briefs?
These are actually my hospital pants that I wore when I shattered my pelvis.
Dan's actually turned away. He's embarrassed. He's embarrassed for you.
I've seen enough, mate.
Are they briefs, really?
Yeah.
Mate, what are you wearing? Did your dad leave them at your house?
This is what I requested when I was in hospital after my coma. I requested the pants.
Are you serious? I'm not quite too sure what to say. It's all gone past in a bit of a blur. I'm just thankful that the guys are here to give me a hand because you know what it's like when you catch a good one, you're a bit blown away, aren't you? Don't take it all in. And I got Giles's waders on, which he claims 100% they don't leak, but I definitely,
that's for sure.
mate, I've definitely got a leaky crotch, 100%.
No more talking about it. The way it is, the way it is. It's no mystery. There's no getting around it. When you're here,
Oh my god.
we got chemistry.
Very Basil-esque in that
We
shot.
love when we ignite. We're stars.
Shot out of all that lot. Amazing.
When you leave, don't forget to remember. Don't forget to remember me. When you leave, don't forget to remember. Don't forget to remember.
Oh mate, thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, it's a fine figure of man.
Boys have caught me out. I caught it on the snide rod, which obviously tethered to the bank, and that was its downfall. It's a bright red treble with a boilie on each hook, and that is, that's the fluoro topper. And yeah, keep that under your hat, soon to be released. Giles, do you want your rod back? Sure. Oh.
I'm not very fair, Joe, that's the problem.
Oh, mate. Cheers, mate. Cheers. Whee.
Remember me.